There's a version of me you see online, not the titles, the leadership roles, the programs, but that's not the full story. And no one can tell my story better than myself. And that's why I decided to do this video. Because behind every put together version of me or anyone else that you see online, there is the confusion, the pressure, the doubt, and a lot of figuring out of things that happens behind the scenes and out in real time. And I think we don't talk about that enough in a way that we can exhaust the points or the personalities. So today I want to do something different. Yeah, it's a bit exciting to me and also scary. Not a highlight reel and not a polished success story about myself, but it in an honest way, in very raw, like a very honest conversation about who I am, what I'm building, what I'm still figuring out, and where I'm going. Yeah, it's scary a bit, but I'll do this in a form of answering some questions, and I hope you find this very nice. So my name is Mary Muraya, and this is my story, Unfiltered. And if you're new to the channel, kindly give us a subscribe. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much and keep engaging with our content. So question 1, what is a personal brand? And for a long time, I thought it was about visibility, about how you present yourself online or offline, how people perceive you. But I've come to learn something different about it. Not so different, but a bit about it in a different way. So I've come to realize a personal brand is actually a form of alignment. It's who you are, what you stand for, what you consistently choose to build, and like what you consistently choose to build even when no one is watching you. Yes. In other words, like we can say a personal brand. In other words, you can say a personal brand is the story people tell about you when you are not in the room. It's not your logo, it's not your LinkedIn bio or anything you put out there. It's the sum total of every interaction you have with people, every conversation, every piece of content, every decision you make in public and in private that accumulates into a reputation. That's what personal brand is. And what I've learned so far, a personal brand that is not rooted in something true will eventually collapse under the weight of its own performance. So before you build the personal brand you aim to have, before you build the personal brand you aim to have, you have to know the person behind the brand first. And that is what this video is about. Not the brand first, but me, Mary Muraya, as the person first. So question 2. Who is Mary Muraya? Mary Muraya is a daughter, a sister, a friend, a student, a founder, an ambassador of so many things. But aside that, I am 22 years old. Yeah, I'm still becoming. And I've had the privilege of working in different organizations, leading different people, and also founding my own Mary Muraya Career Lab platform, where we'll talk about it more in the video. And aside that, I'm the only daughter to my parents. Yeah. So that's something people don't know about me. I'm the only daughter. I'm not a last one, and I'm not the first one. And I'm also this vibe in the room in most places. And for the longest, maybe I struggled putting that out, but yeah, I am that vibe in the room. I'm also, what else? I'm a student. I'm currently pursuing my degree in human resource management at Kenyatta University in Kenya, and also pioneering things around. I'm also working in different organizations so far in HR space and also in career growth space, and so many other platforms that I desire to work in before, and I'm actually seeing myself in those rooms in the recent times, and it's very enticing to like figure out who you are. I come from a very small town in Nyandarua County called Ndonyonjero. Yeah, it's called, that's a translation of Sokompia. That's where I come from. I'm a daughter to 2 parents, Mr. and Mrs. Muraya, and a sister to 3 siblings. And a shout out to all of you, because just being your sister is something enticing, and you've made it a whole experience being your sister. The support, like, you make me be the person I desire to be, the most, even when I'm not in rooms where I have to like shrink myself. You make me put myself out there and show who it is that I really am. And that is very nice. And I really appreciate my brothers so much for that. I'll tag them up here or down below in the comments. You can follow them and you can also interact with them. They are my brothers and I love them. One of our brothers is not that much into the online space and I respect that. So this is a shout out to you, Frank, Mesh and Davy, for being my brothers and also being my family. So question 3, who is Mary Muraya beyond the brands and the many titles? So beyond the titles, I am someone who's genuinely loves people, and not just in a surface way or in a networking way. I mean, I am fascinated by how human beings work, why they give everything in one environment and completely shut down in another, like different personalities in people, or why some systems bring out the best in people and others quietly destroy them. That curiosity is older than my degree. It's even older than some of the roles I've held. It's just how I can say a bit weird. Beyond the titles, I'm also someone who is deeply anchored in faith. I am a Christian and I love God. Yes, and I'm saved. And I don't do this as a decoration, but faith is actually my foundation. The decisions I've made that matter the most, I've made them from that place of understanding who I am in faith. And I'm someone who is still figuring things out. I want to say that clearly so that if you're watching this and you're in the middle of your own becoming series and it's messy, you know that the titles you have don't mean the mess has stopped. The mess just gets more interesting as you go along the path and as you keep figuring yourself out. Question 4. Beyond the degree, describe yourself in 3 words. Whew. So beyond the degree, I'll describe myself as 1, intentional, 2, evolving, and 3, resilient. Intentional in how I approach my decisions and growth with clarity and purpose. Evolving in the sense that I'm constantly learning and becoming a better version of myself, and resilient in my ability to keep moving forward despite the challenges, the uncertainties, or moments that don't go as planned. So I'd say I am a person who is evolving, resilient, and intentional in who I want to be, and also what I desire to achieve. I have these 3 traits, and as my friends define me, and I found that they define me in such ways. So question 5, what do most people get wrong about you when they meet you? So most people think I have it all together. Like I work organized, I've done the research. I carry myself in a certain way and people read that as she knows exactly where she's going, like she has it all figured out. But the internal reality is a constant conversation. I keep asking myself, am I in the right room? Am I spending my time on the right things? And is this the path or just a path I'm taking? And I've learned to manage the noise, but the noise is still real. And I think it's important to say that because when people only see the composure, they sometimes conclude that they must be doing something wrong because they don't feel that calm inside. They are not doing something wrong. It's just that sometimes people like me and people out there are very good at processing some of our personality traits out loud in public than in private. So don't put yourself on a hold or tell yourself you're not in the right path just because you've watched someone online do it and they're doing it a bit differently. Probably they are going through the same challenges as you. It's just that they're not projecting them out loud outside for people to know what it is that is really going on in their lives, in the background or in the behind the scenes. Yes, so don't compare yourself. Allow yourself to grow in your own space and in your own speed and time. Yes, I still don't have everything figured out. I'm still becoming and I'm still evolving. So question 6, what is a truth you've made peace with about yourself? I've made peace with the fact that I'm driven by impact most of the time and not security. And for a long time, I tried to be both. I tried to fit into a lane that says, get the degree, get the good job, build quietly, let the stability come first. And every time I was inside an institution, even prestigious ones, I'd look around and think there is so much more needed outside these walls. And making peace with that meant accepting that my path will not look conventional. And it means choosing the harder more uncertain thing when the certain thing is not the right thing for you. And that peace didn't come to me overnight, but it came, and it's still coming, and it's changing things and everything about me and how I'm seeing things around me. Something else I've made peace with is that growth is uncomfortable and I'm still becoming, and sometimes I will outgrow versions of myself faster than I expected. Yes, growth is very uncomfortable, and if you're in situations where you feel you're very comfortable doing things, you have to ask yourself, is this really who I am, or is there more to me than this is? So yes, growth is uncomfortable. I'm still becoming. I still don't have everything figured out, and it's okay to outgrow versions of you faster than even you expected. That creates room for more growth, and it creates room for more opportunities and better versions of yourself that you never knew existed. Question 7. What's something you're still figuring out? Okay, I'm still figuring out balance, that is balancing between my ambitions and resting, building and living, and becoming and being. Like whether the world I want to build, the inclusive workplaces, the empowered people, the real advocacy, and whether I'm actually building it or just talking about it really well. And that question that keeps me honest, because it's easy, especially on platforms, especially when you're building your brand, to make mistake articulately for action, like articulating it better than you're doing the action, to mistake the vision for the work. I'm figuring out how to close that gap every day. That's the most truthful answer I can give you for now. That I'm still becoming, I'm still trying to figure out my balance, and I'm still trying to figure out whether everything I'm putting the work in as a brand and also as a person is the right thing for me as a 22-year-old who is still becoming, and somebody who wants to be that big girl I see in my dreams and in my visions. And also I'm still trying to unlearn the mistake of articulating my vision out loud than I'm actually putting the work in place behind the scenes. So yes, I'm still not there, and I'm still figuring all of it out one time at a time and bits in bits. Question 8. Was there a moment in childhood that you look back on as the first signal to your becoming? Yes, there have been, and when I look back, I think there were small signals even in my childhood, in my teenagehood, like moments where I felt like I wanted more, not just success, but more impact for myself and for others around me. So yes, there are some traces, and my parents and my siblings can actually tell you, and also people who've known me for quite some time now can actually attest to this. I have been this kid who pioneers things in and out. I'll start, fail, go back, restructure, re-strategize, and come back again better than I was the last time. And being a student leader for so many years now, that has put me in a place of understanding that those versions of me that I was when I was becoming and in my childhood and my teenagehood have actually contributed a lot to the person I am today. And they are actually some of the stepping stones I think I needed then that I didn't notice to becoming this person I am today and this better version I am today. And the younger version of me might be proud to say that she is becoming that person that we saw becoming, and she's actually following in those footsteps. Question 9. Tell us about your campus journey so far. So my campus journey so far has been, okay, honestly, one of the most accelerating growth periods of my life, and I don't just mean academically. I arrived at campus with a lot of curiosity, ambition, and probably I can say a very unclear sense of how to channel either, like my curiosity and my ambition. And I watched people become the person they want to be. I've been able to map the ecosystems, and I found that I've come to find that people who are building something are becoming the person they aspire to be than those who are just dreaming of being that. And in campus, I've been able to be a leader in different capacities and also in different positions, as well as be part of different committees that are impacting campus students and also those outside campus. And campus has also been a place I grew more into my faith as a Christian, and it's just positioned me into something else that's like a better version of myself that I never knew I was before joining campus. and it's really challenging because the things happening in the world are actually happening right here in campus, like in between the lectures and the assignments, and they at times need to be named. So campus is that place that has helped me be that person. I can't say it's been so swift or so soft on me or a bit easy for me, but I know that the opportunities that have found me in campus have stretched me in directions that I wasn't naturally comfortable with, and I went and I'm deliberately growing because I knew it was a gap that I needed to attend to and also get to put myself in. Also, I got to interact with different campuses, and it's becoming a very nice experience for me, going to different unis, learning different things, and it's becoming very enticing. And in the midst of this, there's still burnout, the quiet, invisible kind, the kind that shows up as doing everything and feeling nothing. And coming back from that taught me more about sustainable leadership that any of the success did. So my campus journey is not finished yet, but the version of me that will graduate will be someone who chose this institution, that is Kenyatta University, and this time on purpose. I will actually redo my campus journey again if I had the chance to do it, and I wouldn't want to redo it anywhere else. I would want to redo it at Kenyatta University. Yes, the school of choice. Question 10. You balanced academic rigor with an extraordinary level of extracurricular activities. How? And you're still a student. So honestly, I would put this in 3 things. First, time blocking. Not just scheduling your activities, but actually treating my calendar as a non-negotiable contract with myself. If it's in my calendar, it's happening. And if it's not, I'll find time to see if it's important or not. And that discipline is the only reason anything gets done in my space. Secondly, learning to say no and learning to say it without guilt. It's taken me time to do this, and it's actually taking more time than I thought to do this, because when you are ambitious and opportunities are in front of you, every yes feels like growth and every no feels like a missed moment. But I've learned that undisciplined yes saying leads to diluted impact. I do fewer things now, and I choose to do them better than I used to do them before. Thirdly, and this might surprise you, rest. I protect my mornings and evenings. I also protect my weekends, and I've come to understand that rest is not the enemy of productivity. It is actually the requirement for it. You cannot pour from an empty cup. That's what they say. And that's not just a saying. I've tested the alternative, that's overworking myself and all that, and I do not recommend it. But I've also learned something. You don't find time. You have to make it, like you have to make time for the things that matter the most to you. And more importantly, you should prioritize what aligns with who you are becoming. Yes. Question 11. You've done stints in various organizations early, yet most students wait till graduation to start. Why? Like I said earlier, I've been a pioneer of so many things, and because I realized early that there is a gap between what the textbook says and what the office does or the workplace does, and nobody tells you about this openly, about how wide it is until you fall into that gap. I didn't want to fall. I wanted to jump across it with my eyes open. That's why I took up roles in different organizations like Kenya Railways, HR Healthcare, and others, and each one was actually a deliberate choice to sample a different ecosystem before I could commit to any label of expert or HR to myself, because you cannot advise on human resource management if you have only read about it in books, and you have to have been in the rooms where decisions are made and feel the texture of what it is at stake in those rooms. So the students wait until graduation and not rock, but I think waiting assumes the readiness is a prerequisite for starting. And I've learned that readiness is often a byproduct of starting, not the condition for it. So just starting today doesn't mean you won't get there, or waiting won't get you there, but you can choose to start today and learn along the way before you even graduate. So question 12. What has the professional world shown you about the state of HR in Kenya? Okay, this has taught me that both is misunderstood and under-invested in, that HR is both misunderstood and under-invested in two very different ways depending on where you look about this at. So in informal sector, like the formal sector organizations, HR is frequently reduced to the department that processes contracts and manages disciplinary procedures, or just the hiring process of employees, not a strategy, not culture building, and not change management, just administration. And that narrow positioning of HR is costing organizations enormously in talent loss, toxic cultures and work environments, in stagnation, and they often cannot trace back to the source because they never gave people management or HR a seat at the table to make the strategic decisions in this organization. And in the informal sectors, that is the SMEs, the NGOs, the startups, and the market's ecosystems, people management is like everything, and nobody is doing it systematically. That is where an enormous amount of Kenya's economic activity actually happens, and it is HR blind. That is not a small gap, that is a national development issue. Both sides represent opportunities, and both sides are where I want to work in both the formal and the informal sectors and change how they view HR in it. So question 13, is there a moment in your professional experience that you will never forget? Yes, there are moments I would never want to forget about my HR experience so far. And one moment that stands out to me in a very positive way was during my early career experience working within an organization and a team where I was entrusted with the responsibility far beyond what I expected at that stage. I remember being given the opportunity to support the coordination of a key process. And at first it felt overwhelming. There were moving parts, like there were expectations and people depending on things going right. But instead of stepping back and telling myself I can't do it, I chose to lean in. I asked the right questions, sought for clarity. I did make mistakes and corrected them, and I kept going. And by the end of the project of it, not only had I contributed meaningfully to it, but I had also grown in confidence as an individual and also capability in a way I had not experienced before. And that moment wasn't about the pressure, it was about possibility. And it showed me that growth often comes disguised as responsibility, not beautifully, and that when you rise to meet it, you build both competence and confidence. And it was a moment of immense learning and grit, and it shifted how I see challenges, not as barriers, but as invitations to growth and as chances to take up to learn the unlearnable things that you can't learn in class. Question 14, why did you start the Mary Muraya Career Lab? I started the Mary Muraya Career Lab because I kept having conversations in corridors, in DMs, in WhatsApp, after events with students who were brilliant and completely directionless. Not because they lacked ambition, but because they lacked a map. They didn't know how to position themselves professionally. They didn't know how to navigate the gap between campus and career. They had the degrees in progress and a framework for translating them into impact. And I realized I've been building that framework piece by piece through every attachment, through every professional interaction, like every workshop, every professional relationship I've built so far, and I'm still building. So I asked myself, what if I stopped keeping this framework just to myself and give it out to the people? So the Mary Muraya Career Lab is that decision I made concretely, and it's a space where I envision students, early career professionals, and graduates, particularly in the HR space, or those trying to grow their careers, can get real tools, real experience, real mentorship, real connections to the professional world while they're still in uni or when they're still figuring out their careers out here. Not after graduating, not after that, but now, because the gap is not a graduation problem, it's actually a preparation problem. And the preparation can actually start today. So join the Mary Muraya Career Lab today for this and so much more. Question 15, tell us more about the HR Career Accelerator Program. So the HR Career Accelerator Program is a flagship program of the Mary Muraya Career Lab. The premise is simple, like most HR students graduate knowing the theory of HR and all that, but not the real practice. They know the frameworks at times, but not the rooms. They know the vocabulary, but not the conversation. And the accelerator bridges that gap. It's a 6-month structured program that will be run in cohort basis. So you won't be doing this alone. and the program covers the practical realities of working in HR, how to position yourself, how to navigate organizations, how to build relationships with even senior professionals in your spaces, how to communicate your value in a space that often undervalues what you bring. And we'll also go deep on the specific contexts in Kenya, because HR in Kenya has its own texture, its own challenges, its own opportunities that generic global content doesn't address. And the goal is that every person who goes through the accelerator program comes out on the other side ready, not waiting to become ready, but ready as persons. And that distinction would really matter a lot to me as the Mary Muraya Career Lab, as Mary Muraya, and also as the HR Career Accelerator Program lead. Question 16. What have you learned so far about building an organization or a platform from scratch? What I've learned is that it's nothing like you think it will be and everything you need it to be. There is a difference between the vision and exact process of getting it there. And the first thing I learned is that clarity of purpose is not a luxury. It's actually load bearing. Like when you don't have a clear answer to why does this exist and who does it serve, every decision becomes ambiguous and every obstacle becomes a reason to quit. So purpose is the thing that holds the structure up when everything else is uncertain and when things are not going the way you envision them. Secondly, you will need people before you feel ready to need them. I try to build quietly to have something polished before I let people in, and that is the wrong instinct I had. The people you bring in early as you build become your co-builders, your first believers, your most honest critics, and you need them before you are ready even to let them in the space. So don't do it alone. You have a community to help you do it. And thirdly, the gap between your vision and your current capacity is not a problem. It's actually the work. And every founder, every platform builder, the gap between what they saw and what they currently had was the engine of the whole thing. So don't be embarrassed by the gap. Build your way across it. And finally, building something for your own will show you things about yourself that employment will never show you about yourself. Like it gives you a whole personal identity thing, and it shows you where your courage stops. It shows you what you actually believe about your own worth, and it is beyond the professional development, like a profound act of self-knowledge. I didn't expect that much, but I'm grateful for every experience I'm getting so far, like for every person showing up for me in the platforms. Like it's just a whole lot of community. It takes a whole lot of community to build something even before you're ready for them. Question 17. What impact do you desire to have in the HR space in Kenya, Africa, and globally? So in Kenya, I want to be part of the generation that moves HR from the back office to the boardroom. That sounds simple. It is not actually as simple as it sounds. It requires changing how organizations are built, how leadership is trained, and how people management is valued at the institutional levels. I want to be in the rooms where those decisions are made, and I want to have built myself enough credibility and capacity to actually influence those rooms and those decisions to be made. In Africa, the impact I want is around equity in the workplace. I want African organizations, like from startups to parastatals and all organizations, to build people systems that are not borrowed from Western templates, but those templates are not designed for our context, our cultures, or our complexity. So we need HR frameworks that are African in their architecture. And that is a contribution I want to make in future and in the Africa space as a HR. And globally, I want the conversation about African HR to not always be a deficit conversation, not what Africa lacks, but what Africa offers. The innovation, the community-centered approach to work, and the Ubuntu philosophy of collective flourishing. These are not soft ideas, they are a competitive advantage, and they are things that need time to grow. And I want to put those in the global HR conversation. So yes, I desire to be an impact in Kenya, in Africa, and in the global stage in the HR space. Question 18. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years as an individual and as a brand? In 5 years, I want to have built the Mary Muraya Career Lab into something that has changed the trajectory of a significant number of students. Not hundreds necessarily, but significantly. Depth over breadth, quality over quantity. And I want to be operating at a policy level, advising or influencing how workforce development is approached at a national level in Kenya, Africa, and even the global stage. So in 10 years, I want the work to outlast my daily involvement. Like, I want to have built systems, programs, content, institutions that run and serve and impact even when I've moved to the next thing or I've become the next version of myself. And that is my measure of success at that time. Not a title, not a network, but something that endures it all, even not necessarily being dependent on me entirely. As a brand, I want the name Mary Muraya to mean something specific, not influencer type or not the motivational speaker type or public speaker type. I want it to mean someone who has changed how Kenya thinks about its people at work and how the global stage thinks of its personnel management. As someone who showed that a young woman from Kenya or Nairobi can build something that matters globally. And that is the brand I am building slowly, deliberately, from the inside out. Question 19. What scares you the most about your dreams? Okay, what scares me the most is that I might get it partially right. Okay, full failure doesn't scare me that much, but because failure is information. You learn, you rebuild, but partial success scares me out. Because building something that's almost what it was supposed to be, and something that helps some people but not enough, something that got distracted halfway through its own purpose. That is what I lie awake thinking about sometimes, the gap between the vision in my head and what actually manifests. So what helps is this: I've decided that fear of partial success is not a reason to do less, it's a reason to be more intentional, to stay closer to the purpose, to build with people who will hold you accountable to the original vision that you had and the vision you shared to them, even when you've become comfortable with a smaller version of it. So my dream scares me, and I think it should, because anything worth building or worth striving for should carry some weight in your life. And I wouldn't want to partially succeed. I would want to succeed fully in this and also in other ideas that I have in future. Question 20. If someone watches this in 5 years, what do you see? What do you want them to see? So I want them to see the beginning of my journey, not a finished story, but the beginning of one. I want whoever watches this in 5 years to be able to trace back the lines, to see that the things I said here in this video and the vision, the conviction, the values actually showed up in what I built. That there was no gap between who I said I was and who I became. I want them to see someone who was honest about the uncertainty and moved anyway. Someone who was 22 and building something real with full knowledge that she didn't have all the answers and full commitment to finding them, but still chose to do it anyway, scared and intentional. And selfishly, I would also want to watch it myself in 5 years and feel proud, not of the titles or the achievements I would have had, but proud of the character, that I didn't compromise the person to build the brand, and that I didn't change that much about the intentionality I had while building this just because I got a bit of success along the way. Question 21. What does success look like to you, and has that definition changed? So, enormously, at 19, I thought success was a good degree or a respectable job, the kind that you announce to family and friends gatherings and people nod because of how big it sounds. But at 22, success to me looks more like alignment between what I'm doing, who I'm becoming, and what I'm actually believe in. The degree matters, yes, I'm working hard to get it, and the career matters, but neither of them is the point as much anymore. The point is where the work is landing with real people. Whether someone's professional path changed because of something I built or said or created, that is my measure of success now. And has it changed? Yes, and I think it will keep changing with time And I think that's healthy, because the person whose definition of success stopped evolving also stops growing. And I plan to keep evolving and growing. Question 22. What will you say to a younger sister version of yourself who sees your journey and wonders if she can do the same thing and if she can become? Okay, I will say the version of me that started this journey was not impressive, and she was uncertain. Maybe I still am, and she had more questions than answers when she was starting it out. She made messy decisions and learned from them slowly. And the trajectory looks clean from the outside, because we only get to see the highlights of people's lives and the composure they put out there, not the whole behind the scenes things. Not the Tuesday afternoons, not the applications that didn't go through, not the moments of maybe this is not for me. So yes, if you are watching this as a younger version of me or somebody trying it out, yes, you can do this, but just don't try to do what exactly I'm doing. Don't try to be me. The world doesn't need a copy paste of Mary Muraya. It needs an authentic self of yourself. It needs you to figure out your specific version of this thing that you're trying to build. So the thing you're built for, not the thing that looks good on someone else's grid. And please start before you're ready, because readiness is not a destination. It's something you build while moving. The people who wait until they feel ready often wait until forever. There is no time that will ever come to you as a person that tells you it's not time to start. No, you start at the uncertainty and you keep growing and find yourself at the destination you wished you would be at. So question 23, what keeps you going when things get hard and not as you envisioned them? So 2 things have kept me going even when I didn't see the vision coming to life, and they are different from each other, but I can say I have needed them both equally. And the first is accountability to the people. That is the students who've heard me speak and tried something, and the mentors who have invested time and believe in me. I carry this person's strong, and even my family that has been there for me, and the friends, not as pressure but as a responsibility. Because when things are hard, I think about what it would mean to waste the investment these people have had on me, and that moves me forward when motivation fails. Secondly is faith, and I know that's not a universal answer, but it is my honest answer on this one, because my faith in God and as an individual is not just a performance to people, it's actually my foundation. Yes. And on the days when the vision felt delusional, when your building seems too small, too slow, too uncertain, I go back to the Bible, read scriptures, and it keeps me alive. And it reminds me that I was placed here for this, and I need to keep going, and I'm not alone, because I got backing in the spiritual realm and also in the physical realm from mentors and friends. And between accountability and faith, I have never found a hard season that those 2 things couldn't carry me through. So sometimes things are slower and sometimes they're hard, but when you have this, you can go through any situation in life. Question 24. What would you like your audience to take home from this video? I would like you guys to pick 3 things specifically. One, your personal brand is not separate from your character. It's an expression of it. If you build the brand without building the person first, the brand is just like a house on sand. So build the person first, and then the brand will follow. Secondly, you do not need to be finished to be worth knowing. You do not need to have arrived to have something to say, and you don't have to have all the answers at the moment you're starting. You just need to start. So whoever you are right now, in the middle of your own becoming journey, the story has value. So tell it, build from it, and don't wait for the clean version or the accomplished version of yourself to start. Thirdly, the world needs people who build with purpose, not just people who perform purpose. So build with purpose before you can perform it. And Kenya needs them, Africa needs them, your community needs them, and the global stage needs them. And you might be the one that all these people need. So stop scrolling, stop waiting, and start building. Thank you so much for watching till the end. This is my journey. It's still unfolding, and maybe this is your sign to start too. and also to start your journey. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe, because I'm documenting this journey in real time and here, not when I've made it, but while I'm still becoming, and hoping to come back to this video in 5 years, in 10 years, and tell myself that we really did make it and we've moved past the vision we wanted to be. So thank you so much. Be part of our community, and also you can apply as a mentor or a mentee to the HR Career Accelerator Program. The applications are open and they close on the 15th of May 2026, and it will be an exciting journey to become with you in it, as an individual, as a mentor, and as a mentee. And thank you for engaging in this video. Leave a comment below on what inspired you the most about this video, and what it is you'd want me to share in the next videos on my becoming journey. So bye bye.